Hello guys, this is Hershey from MyBalkanGaming, and today we have a new ship review about the new Galaxy X Tier 6 variant. When I first started playing Star Trek Online, the ship I really wanted to buy was the Galaxy X, but then I realized it only had a Lieutenant Tactical slot. Why would anyone, for the love of all that is holy, put only a Lieutenant Tactical slot on a Dreadnought? Years have passed, and now finally that issue have been rectified with the new Yamato Dreadnought. Tier 6 Yamato class Dreadnought cruiser was built for battle, with the Federation's current enemies in mind. It was heavily influenced by the advances made in the Andromeda class exploration cruisers, and it has incorporated its state-of-the-art systems to create a truly formidable starship. And here is the ship. I'm loving the old Galaxy X costume a little more than this one. The old one was to me more of a sleek and a clean design, but the Yamato looks more formidable and modern looking. Other than that, Yamato can use the Galaxy and Monarch costumes for free, and it can also use the Adventures costume if that starship is owned. So what do you guys think about the looks? Do you agree with me? Tell me in the comments below. Where can you buy this ship? Well, you can get it from the C-Store for 2500 Zen just for this weekend. After that, it will cost you 3000 Zen. Also, Cryptic released this ship in a bundle with the two corresponding dreadnoughts for the KDF and Romulans for 5000 Zen combined, just for this weekend. That price after that will rise to 6000 Zen. The KDF version kolasi Siege destroyer is actually rather an escort than a dreadnought, but we will talk about that in that ship's review. If you buy any of these ships separately, you then cannot buy the bundle. Alternatively, the fleet versions were also released this weekend. You can get the fleet version for 5 modules and 20k fleet credits. And you can save some money if you have enough EC. This ship can be played by only Federation characters. You must be a level 50 Vice Admiral to fly it. Let's talk about some stats of the ship. Base stats are for hull 45,988 at level 50. Wow, what a number. And 53,320 at level 60. Fleet version gets a little bump in the base hull stats, and that is now 50,587 at level 50 and 58,652 at level 60. Shield modifier is 1, and fleet version gets 1.1 for a shield modifier. You get a crew of 1000. Weapons are 4 in front and 4 aft, so a standard cruiser configuration. Device slots are 4. Base turn rate is 6, which is a really snail speed, but with that 2-piece set bonus, which I'll talk about later in the video, you can drive that turn rate to an acceptable 20 degrees without any trouble. You also get +5 to all power levels. Other than that, as I mentioned, you get a single hangar bay, which I recommend you put an elite Yellowstones in. You also get a nice phaser spinal lens. Regarding the lens, this is probably one of the two things I'm not happy about this ship. It's really not that powerful and just feels like an oversized beam overload. This thing should in normal circumstances obliterate the enemy. So from cruiser commands you get weapon system efficiency and tracked fire. And from the Starship ability package for Dreadnought cruisers you get rapid repairs, enhanced plating, devastating weaponry, armored hull, and a new Starship trait called subsystem redundancies. When this trait is slotted, firing a spinal lance, or a javelin, or beam overload 1, 2 or 3 will trigger a shield heal, a shield hardness buff, and will restore offline shields. For once I'm liking this starship trait, as it seems it could be very useful, and I'm going to slot it with the rest of my starship traits for this character. You also get a new universal console called Supplemental Subsystems. Activating this console substantially increases your starship's maximum subsystem power levels for a short time. While active, incoming energy weapon attacks damage the attacker and leads a small amount of attacker's subsystem powers back to you. Additionally, you gain a subsystem overload counter each time you are hit with an energy attack. After obtaining 20 counters, you emit a devastating pulse of electrical energy which deals heavy damage to nearby enemies. Affected enemies have all of their subsystems knocked offline for a brief period. This console provides a passive bonus to all subsystem power levels, and I can tell you that it's really good. The visuals are really amazing, kudos to the designer, and it's quite effective. It's one of my favorite universal consoles lately, which I will demonstrate later on in the video. Also, by equipping both the Supplemental Subsystems Universal Console and a Cloaking Device Universal Console, you will get set piece bonuses to your starship, which translates in +3 defense and +3 turn rate, which is quite good. Console slots are 3 tactical consoles. Fleet version gets 1 additional tactical console slot, 5 engineering and 2 science console slots. For a Dreadnought this looks good. Buff layout is 1 Lieutenant Commander Tactical, finally. 1 Lieutenant Commander Engineering / Command, 1 Commander Engineering, and 1 Lieutenant Science, and 1 Ensign Universal. This ship would be so epic if that hybrid seat was Intel. Ooh, with that surgical strikes and override subsystem safeties, enemy would just melt before you. Now the buff layout is just very good. We should be very pleased with that Lieutenant Commander Tactical Station. As you can see, I'm using this ship on my Federation Klingon Tactical Officer. I'm missing some upgraded weapons, as I don't usually use phasers, this time only because of the phaser lens, and I also need to get some fleet tactical consoles, and I'm good to go. First time in years I'm using a torpedo on my ship, and that one is a neutronic one from the Delta Rep. Rest of the weapons are phasers and a cutting beam. Also there is Elite Fleet shields and a 2-piece Borg set, 3-piece with the universal console. On that tactical consoles I have phaser relays, which I really need to upgrade to fleet tactical consoles. On the science I have a tachyokinetic converter and a plasmonic leech. On the engineering I have the universal supplemental subsystems and a cloaking device with 2 fleet neutroniums, which I really need to replace with RSCs with EPS, and finally an simulated module. But let's see this buff layout again. I'm using an aux to bed build, which is not popular these days, but I still like it. So on that Ensign Universal I'm using a tactical officer with torpedo spread 1. On the Lieutenant Commander Tech I'm using Tactical Team 1, Tech Pattern Delta, which you can switch with Attack Pattern Beta, and of course Fire at Will 3. If you're using Torpedo build, you can switch this Fire at Will 3 with Torpedo Spread 3 and put that Fire at Will on that Ensign Tactical slot. On the Commander Engineering I'm using Engineering Team 1, aux to bed 1, Emergency Power to Shields 3 and Direct Energy Modulation 3. On the Hybrid Lieutenant Commander Engineer / Command I am using Concentrate Firepower 1, aux to bed 1 and Call Emergency Artillery. And on that Lieutenant Science I am using Standard Hazard Emitters 1 and TSS2. For the traits I am using all of the space ones, and for the space reputation I am using these ones here. Let's also see my TOF layout. So in conclusion, this is now one of my favorite cruisers. It has an awesome universal console and a good set piece bonus. Starship trait is very good, and there is a single hangar bay to put your elite Yellowstones in. It looks good, and it can share parts with the other Galaxy variants. And this is finally a Dreadnought with a Lieutenant Commander tactical station. If you were looking for a cruiser and you're not a fan of Andromeda, this is definitely a ship for you. Get it this week until the discount expires. My final verdict for this ship is 9 out of 10. It would have been a perfect 10 if the phaser lens was more powerful and if that hybrid station was an Intel one. What do you guys think of this ship and my verdict? Tell me in the comments below. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.